It is October the 8th here, and we're just doing our final harvest of the garden. We have had a couple of mornings of some very light frost. So we had a few tomatoes left that were underneath the leaves on the plant, so they didn't get hit with the frost. Same with the peppers. Found one stray potato that I had missed. Some carrots. The slicer tomatoes, there was none left that were ripened, but I pulled the green ones so they don't go to waste. So that's our final harvest out of the garden. This area here, starting this area, you can see a fence kind of disappearing in there, all the way down and across the back. This area was potatoes and onions, and once they came out, we had a lot of volunteer tomato plants that came up in this soil. So those were all cherry tomato plants, and I think they call them blueberry tomatoes. They're larger than a cherry tomato and they're dark in color. I haven't gone through these to see if there's any in here yet to pick. You can see these ones, they're still green on the bottom, but they're turning like this dark purpley color on top. That's likely, I guess, why they get their blueberry name. They will turn red if they stay on the vine long enough. There's some there where it had a, might not be able to see it with this sunlight and stuff on the camera, but see if we can get them there. So there's that dark side and he's turning red. So it looks like there will be some in here that we can pick for sure. So we'll go through and we'll pick that stuff yet, and then we're gonna rip this all out. So we're gonna do a bit of a wrap up at the end of the video here with some numbers. This area that we're using right now is approximately 600 square feet of garden space. And in this space, we did cram some stuff in a little tighter than what's recommended. We had 20 Roma tomato plants in, 4 slicer tomatoes. We had 20 green pepper plants, 1 zucchini plant. I'll show you a picture of that. It was a monster. The leaves got big, the plant got huge, and it just kept producing and producing. I think we had, I'll have to look, I have it written down somewhere, but I think it was somewhere in the area of 40 pounds of zucchini out of one plant. It was just a massive thing. Even the pepper plants this year, we've always grown peppers, but I've never had plants do so good. I'll show you the size of the stalks on some of these things. And look at the size of the stalk on this thing. It's bigger around than my thumb is. It's huge. And that plant's waist high when you're walking by it. And some of the ones down there are the same thing. They're a good, almost 4 feet tall, those plants. It's already 3.5 feet. What else did we have? We have this wire that's running down here, this wire fencing. And a section in here from this leg to the center leg, and another section down there. So in this area we had 1 row of carrots, 12, 13 feet long, and we had 2 rows of peas, one on each side of that wire fencing, and they grew up it. So I think that's pretty much about what we had in here, I think, as far as plants goes. The amount of food that came out of here was very surprising. I'm hoping that some of that was because of the work I did back in March with the soil, and I can put a link up here for the video that we did back in March on that. We made our own biochar. We added biochar to this soil, and I bought 3 yards of mushroom compost and 3 yards of what they call a triple mix topsoil. So we added all that in here. Let it sit for a couple of weeks for the biochar to start doing its thing, and we planted, and it just took off. It started out slow, but I think it was because the season was very dry at the beginning. I think that's why it had a slow start, but once we got a little bit of rain, things just went wild in here. Could not be happier with how the gardening went this year. So it's just a short video. I will put some numbers up of to what actually came out of here. I know we're up over 300 pounds of food. I know that, but I don't know what the final total is until I add it up. So we'll get those numbers on here and we'll put this thing to bed until next year. We may expand this again next year. We did a lot of canning and stuff out of here this year. It's going to last us for quite some time yet. We'll see. If we do expand it next year, I'm not going to buy any soil next year. I will make biochar again for a new area of this garden if we do expand it, because I think that helped tremendously. But we've got enough yard that we can certainly expand this thing a heck of a lot if we wanted to. We're thinking of maybe, possibly, adding another 400 square feet to this end of the garden and take it up to 1,000 square feet. But we'll see. You know, a lot depends on pricing. Things I don't think things are going to come down at the grocery store. In fact, I think they're going to continue to rise for some time yet. We'll probably hear, there's a chance we could hear of more scarcity of vegetables next year with all of the climate conditions in various parts of the world that we normally would be importing a lot of the stuff from, that we may not be able to next year. You know, there's just too many things going on to say for sure what will or will not happen. So as we get closer to next year's planting season in the spring, you know, depending on how everything is going, we'll make the final decision then whether or not to expand this garden. So thank you very much for tuning in. Check out the numbers. You can apply those numbers of the weight of the food that come out of here. You can apply that to the pricing for your local produce in your area and see if you had done the same thing, how much it would have saved you in your area. Thank you very much for watching.